Welcome to Carly's Colorful Corner, where we will be learning how to shade our fawn using pen and ink. In this course, I will be using micron pens. However, you can use your own pen, like even a Bic pen from the dollar store if you really wanted to. Now, a micron pen is a kind of like a graphite pen or like a version of a graphite pencil. Graphite pencil is a pencil that has different values of darkness or different values of light, using the hardness or the softness of the graphite. It helps artists kind of get the right shadow or shade quicker without having to use as much guesswork with the pressure of their hand. Now, a micron pen does this by altering the thicknesses of the pen nibs or the pen points. Now, your higher numbers are actually going to have more thickness to the pen nub. So the 08 is actually going to be used for darker shadows, and the like 03 is kind of like your medium or maybe your kind of lighter values, and 05 is like in the middle. So the smaller you go in number, the smaller the nub. The smaller the nub, then the lighter the ink pen should come out as. Like it should come out thinner, allowing you a lighter shade. Now, like I said, I'm going to make this lesson versatile by teaching both methods to you. So that way you can kind of learn how the micron pens work. And if you want to invest in them in the future, like let's say you get into anime and you want archival pens, then go for it. If not, you can stick to your regular pen and not worry about any investment whatsoever. With that being said, let's begin. So this class will be focusing on a 3-2-1 method of shading. So 3 layers of ink will indicate that it's kind of like the darkest dark, and 2 layers of ink will indicate that it is a medium value, and then 1 layer of ink will indicate that it is the light value, but not necessarily your whitest white. So let's begin with the eyes. We are going to avoid our circular highlights on the eyeball of the fawn itself. These are called highlights. They are shine spots in the eyeball. They get the whitest white. There's no value to them whatsoever. It's where the light actually hits an object at its direct point, so no value will be needed at all for these areas. However, the actual eye itself, we're going to start with 1 layer of ink, and then we will add an additional layer going in the opposite direction. This will create a crosshatch pattern. This is where a series of lines are going in the opposite direction, almost like a checkered effect. So now that we know what micron pens are and how to use them and what type of shading technique we'll be using for class today, let's get started with our our right eye. We just finished our left eye. So using our right eye and a 03 pen, we are going to do 3 layers of ink. We're going to go in one direction, a series diagonal lines, and then in the opposite direction, and then back to your original direction. 3 series of cross-hatching lines using a 03 pen. Now, if you have a regular pen, just be light with your hand. Don't carve into the paper. Just at a regular pressure, just go into the paper with your regular type of pen. We will be filling this area with filler shade. This is our filler shade for our eyeball. This type of shade will be covering our iris and any other area that fills in the eye that does not include the pupil. Now that we have our filler shade in, we're going to add an additional layer just to the pupil area of our fawn's eye. Now you can switch out to a 08 pen that has a thicker nub to it. It'll ensure that you'll have a darker dark at a more easier pace or easier level, or you can choose to use your regular pen by varying your pressure and pushing harder into the paper when it comes to the pupil of your fawn's eyeball. As we're doing the pupil, this is going to be your darkest dark. As we're doing the pupil, make sure that there's no white inside the pupil unless it's your highlight. Your filler part of your eye will have little bits of white peeping through, but your pupil will be pitch black. I kind of want my eyes to kind of pop. So I'm going to take my 08 pen and I'm going to add just a tiny skinny additional layer to the edges of my deer's eye, starting at the top part of my curve around my eye. I don't want to go all the way around. I just want to go halfway up around the highlight area and in towards the bridge of the nose on both eyeballs, just to kind of give my eye a little more depth and to kind of make those eyes pop. Now that nose, the entirety of the nose, could be about 2 shades or 2 layers of ink. Now, the bottom half of the nose, you're going to actually split the nose in half. So you're going to have kind of an ellipse on the top or like an oval on the top. And then you're going to have like a triangle with a curved bottom connecting just below that ellipse. This is kind of give you that kind of that flat plane to your fawn's nose, because deer kind of have that flat nose that points out and it's rounded. This is going to make it look more three-dimensional. Now the entire shape itself, the entire shape is going to have 2 layers of ink. One series of line going in one direction and one series of line going in the other direction. Light hand, not heavy. The triangular part, however, is going to get an additional layer. You can go a little bit heavier with this if you choose to do so, or you can switch out to that 08 pen if you wish. If you wish to do, if you wish to do so. Blah 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 blah. Let's move up the bridge of the nose using 2 layers of ink. One going in one direction, like a series of lines, diagonal lines going in one direction, and then a series of diagonal lines going in the opposite direction. This is going to be your filler shade for all the fur part of your deer, like the brown fur area. The face and the neck and the inside of the ears are actually going to be a lighter value. So the rest of the area of the deer will actually be your number 2 formula that we are currently doing at this moment in time. As I'm working on this area, I have a number 03 pen for my micron pen. Now, if you're using a regular pen, go light-handed. Don't get too crazy with the dark. Don't push too hard. Leave some white space in between your lines. Allow some of that white to peep through the paper. That's going to make this value a medium shade instead of a pitch dark shade. Now it's time to work on the actual face of your deer, the tan part, which is only going to be one series of diagonal lines going in one direction. Super light hand, still a number 3 pen if you're using Micron. If you're using a regular pen, go super light with your strokes, feather light, let the ball point of your pen just glide on top of the paper like butterfly kisses. You're also going to want to continue this step with the inside of the ear as well. The outside of the ear is actually going to be your number 2 formula, the one that we use for the forehead and the bridge of the nose of the deer. The rest is super simple. So the brown part of the deer is your number 2 formula. So two series of diagonal lines, one going in one direction, one going in the other. Avoid the white spots or the freckles on your deer's back while doing this part of the drawing. Your neck, and as it tucks in under the chest, is actually going to be your number 1 formula. So just go in one direction. You don't have to worry about cross hatching. You're doing a side diagonal hatch for this piece. Any areas that need super darkness, you're going to switch to your 0.8, or you're going to make your pressure of your pen a little bit heavier against the paper for your hooves. If you want, you can start adding some undershadow to the underbelly of your deer by adding one more layer of ink in the opposite direction. You can do the same to the underside of your deer's legs and underneath its hip. Totally up to you, your art, your choice. And then I would add one additional layer to the ear tufts. Like the tufts, if you decided to draw tufts of fur in your deer's ear, that is where you would just add one additional layer on top of the shading that you've already put in the ear. This will help those tufts stand out. Other than that, this is exactly how you use the 3-2-1 formula to create a realistic piece using pen and ink. From here on out, I would like to challenge you to use the formula that we have used to create your background. Where is your deer going to be? Where is he going to be hanging out? Remember, 3 is for your darkest dark and 1 is for your lightest light.